So, a very good morning, everybody. Today is the second day of our presentation season 4. This is the final season of presentation for semester 4 students. Yesterday, we had a presentation on African literature, and today we are going to have presentations on contemporary English literature. Uh, the texts which are published in last decade and a half, are a part of syllabus in this paper. And the purpose obviously is to see that how in contemporary times the writers are recording the zeitgeist of the time in which we are living. So the texts are selected from India, obviously, and also from England. And our purpose is to see that how in our time is being recorded or narrated by the living writers who live with us. It also becomes a part of popular literature, but all the texts which are in the syllabus may not be merely popular literature. They may not be so popular also, but still, all these texts are contemporary literary texts. So in this slot, we will have presentations by Aditi, Anjali, Bhavyang, Bhumika, Chandani, Daya, Hiral, Jignesh, and KHUSHBU. And you are going to make presentations on The Only Story and the Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. Postmodern aspects in the works of Chetan Bhagat, Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island, from Manasa Devi to Madonna, feminism in the novels of Chetan Bhagat, the era of environmental derangement in the time of climate crisis in Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island, the only story, symbolic significance of crosswords, that will be interesting to see. We are in a time where people are quite mad about Wordle, which is very popular nowadays. And so, the crosswords of 70s and 80s, which is recorded by Julian Barnes. Empowerment of women in Revolution 2020, character portrayals in Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh, and also on The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy, a multidimensional novel, Cobweb of narratives. So on this things we are going to have presentations, and let us start with the first one. So Aditi.
Shall I start, sir?
Just a minute, just a minute. So this we are trying this first time. So I forgot to unmute the mic there. So that's why I was telling that if somebody can listen on YouTube, people can suggest that there is no voice going on in YouTube. Was it coming? But maybe from there it might be going there. Yeah, little bit from there. Okay, fine. Okay, then it is okay. If it is heard, something is heard, then it is okay. Okay, so this is StreamYard streaming we are doing first time. We normally use Google Meet, but now Meet has stopped the feature of recording. So we are trying an alternative platform of StreamYard here. Okay, fine. So Aditi, you can unmute yourself and then you can start your presentation.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Hello, good morning everyone. I am Aditi VALA and today I am going to present on contemporary literature in English, and today's my topic is comparison between The Only Story and The Sense of an Ending. These both novels are written by Julian Barnes. So first of all we can see about author's introduction. Author is Julian Barnes. Julian Barnes was born in the 19th January 1946 in Leicester, England, and his spouse Pet Kawang. He has married with her in 1979 and he has died in 2008. Her pen name is Dan Kawang and Edward Peche, and his occupation is writer, and his genre is novel, short stories, essays, memoirs, and everything. And his literary movement is postmodernism, and his notable awards is Prix Femina in 1992, Commander of Lord des Arts at Des Letter in 2004, a Man Booker Prize for the Sense of an Ending in 2011, and the Jerusalem Prize in 2021. And Julian Barnes' other book is The Man in the Red Coat, was published in the UK in 2019, and in the book in the US in 2020. And he also selected and introduced a collection of John Cheever stories titled A Vision of the World. And his new novel, Elizabeth Finch, will be published in 2022. And here we can see about the introduction about the text, The Only Story. The Only Story is novel written by Julian Barnes, and it is his 13th novel, and it is published in 1st February 2018. Its novel genre is memory novel. Its novel publisher is Jonathan Cape. This novel is setting in stockbroker belt outside London in 1960s, and narrator is Robert Paul. And this novel is divided in 3 parts. Part 1 is the boy meets woman, narrative told in the first person. Second part is told in a mixture of first and the second person, is the decline of the love affair. And part 3 is the rest of Paul's life, told mostly in a mix of second and third person. And next we can see about the text, The Sense of an Ending. The Sense of an Ending is a novel written by Julian Barnes, and this novel is Julian Barnes' 11th novel. And for this novel, he has achieved a Man Booker Prize award. And this novel's genre is psychological fiction, published in 4th August 2011. And this novel's publisher is Jonathan Cape also. And this novel narrator is Tony Webster. And this novel is divided in 2 parts. And here we can see about The Only Story. The Only Story is the first of Barnes' book not dedicated to his wife, Pet Kawang, who died in 2008. Significantly, the familiar conundrums Paul contemplates pertain just readily to grief mourners as to people signed by romance gone every. It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. He wondered, and he said, would you rather the love and suffer the more, or love the less and suffer the less? And The Only Story is about losing control, but also losing the ability to lose control. And The Sense of an Ending. The Sense of an Ending rushed into print 3 months ahead of its original US release the date after being shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, and it's elegantly composed, quietly devastating tale about memory, gaining time, and remorse. And the character of The Only Stories, Paul Robert is the protagonist of the novel, and Susan MacLeod, Jordan MacLeod, Martha and Clara MacLeod, John, Eric Paul, and Anna. These are the major characters of the novel. And The Sense of an Ending. The Sense of an Ending is the main protagonist is Anthony Tony Webster, and the other major character is Adrian Finn, Veronica Jackford, Margaret Susie, Adrian's son, and many other characters. And then next we can see about the themes of the novels. In Only Story, where writer has used the theme of memory, love, passion, and suffering, and also marriage theme. And in the sense of an ending, writer has used the philosophy versus reality, sex, class, and power, and also the memory and self depiction, history, narrative, and truth. And narrative technique of the only story. Part 1 is the boy meets woman narrative told in the first person. And in the last few pages, as Paul says his final goodbye to Susan, now said it in the psychology hospital, he reverts to the first person. And the sense of an ending is the narrative technique is a repetition as a literary technique and was effectively applied in Julian Barnes, the sense of an ending, and it was used to the imperfection and subjectivity of both memory and history. And here we can see about the title of the only story. The only story concerns the pained recollection of an aging Englishman's life-changing only love. And for further information, I have put here one link. And the most of us have only one story to tell. I don't mean that only one thing happens to us in our lives. There are countless events which we turn into countless stories, but there's only one that matters and only one finally worth telling. And this quote is coming from the only story, and this quote is describe the title of the novel. And the title of the sense of an ending invites multiple interpretations, and in the sense of an ending, the title plays vital role as the vital itself suggests that the sense of an ending means where the question arises in our mind that whose ending is it. And the ending of the novel is not clearly given, or Barnes has deliberately done this to make reader thinking. It can also be said that the book leaves us with no real sense of an ending. And here I put some quotes from the only story. And here I put some quotes from original quotes from the sense of an ending. And here is my references. And thank you, everyone.
Okay, so questions to the presenter.
Yes, Aditi. I have
Don't forget to mute and mute.
yes, yeah, Aditi. I have question that which is one of the most important parts of the Julian Barnes novel.
Yes, Jignesh, Julian Barnes has used the theme of idealism and the sexual identity, and I was personally I liked her novels and writing structure. Is he has written his work in two or three parts, and easily we can find it and we can understand in our own way.
Aditi, my question is, which type of novel is the sense of an ending?
Yes, Khushbu, the sense of an ending novel is a psychological novel, and this novel is also won the main book prize award in 2011. And this novel has a psychological and emotional depth and sophisticated of Henry James at his best, and his stunning achievement in Julian Barnes' work, sir.
Okay, so the next presenter.
Hello everyone. I am Anjali Trivedi from Department of English. Today's my topic is a post-modern aspect of the Chetan Bhagat's novel. Am I audible or not?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. My screen is visible. My screen is visible.
And now share that screen which you are working. Yes, now it is.
Okay. Hello, I am Anjali Trivedi from Department of English. My today's topic is a postmodern aspect of the Chetan Bhagat's novel. Here is a table content. The first we start with the author introduction, and second postmodern term, key elements, Chetan Bhagat's novel, and postmodern aspect of the novels. First, we start with the introduction of the author, Chetan Bhagat. The Chetan Bhagat born in 22 April 1974. Now in New Delhi. Education of the Chetan Bhagat is he graduated at the mechanical engineering at IIT Delhi. Postgraduate at the IIM Ahmedabad. He was an Indian author and columnist. He was included in the Times Magazine list of the world 100 most influential people in 2010. He started his career as an investment banker but left it after a few years pursue writing. He has written 10 novels and 3 non-fiction books. His first novel, Five Point Someone, was published in 2004. His novel, Someone, adapted into movie in Hello. Hindi movie in Hello. The postmodern term, the term postmodernism has been applied both to era following modernity and to host a movement within that era, mainly art, music, and literature that reacted against different trend in modernism. In 1921 and 1925, the modernism had been used to describe new form of arts and music. The postmodernism literature is a form of literature which is marked both stylistically and ideologically. The postmodern literature also often rejects the boundaries between the high and low forms of art in literature, as well as the distinction between different genres and the form of writing and storytelling. Here, the key elements of the postmodernism: the patriarchy, the intertextuality, metafiction, temporal dystopian, minimalism, maximalism, magical realism, fiction, and reader involvement. The Chetan Bhagat's novel, Five Point Someone, One Night at the Call Center, Three Mistakes of My Life, Two States, Revolution 2020, What Young India Wants. What Young India Wants is an autobiography by Chetan Bhagat, Half Girlfriend. Here, the postmodern aspect of the novels. First, we start with the Five Point Someone. The Five Point Someone is adapted into the movie Hindi movie Hello. The book endeavors to illuminate on that aspect of the postmodernist through process where engineering youth tries to thwart the controversy that the conventional pattern of imparting technical education and traditional way of evaluating, and that the cognitive abilities of the student on that the basic of grade points average. The struggle of the technical education has become a lifeless system and needs revitalizing, and massive reformation is strictly evidence to this novel. Now we further move from the One Night at Call Center. The Chetan Bhagat's second fictional work, One Night at the Call Center, published in the year 2005. The theme of the novel is that the anxiety and that the insecurity at that the rising Indian middle class, including question about the career in the independency, marriage, family conflicts, and the modern India. The backdrop on the novel is that the call center describing one of the event that occurs at night. It was night, and there was a phone call from God. The surprising call from the God on Sham's phone, Shams Bhagat's input that the spiritual interlude and the modernism in the novel. Now the third novel, The Three Mistakes of My Life. Three Mistakes of My Life is a movie adaptation in Kaipoch, a Hindi movie. The novel ironically unfolds some of the bitter truths of a human life, which is now more influenced by the passion rather than emotions and ambitions. The Bhagat studies at that the character of these were the ironic detachment because he never takes that the side of anyone. The characters are young, ambitious, and that the passionate have that the same moral, social, and the religious, and that the dilemmas as many of young Indians have today. As per postmodern aspect of novel, the depicts sentiments, social message, business, the relations, religious, of course, the cricket. The two status also Hindi movie adaptation with the same name. The novel is narrated in the first person point of view in humorous tone. Bhagat states that the twins boy belong to a state called India, and makes it clear that not by the tag of any religion or states. The novel records the supreme spirit of the nationalism as a modern aspect that the novel is unique in its content with its attempt to unite not only two states but also two traditions and cultures. The novel also attempts to represent the people of the nation only Indian, not based on caste, religion, or states. The Revolution 2020. Revolution 2020 is also part of our syllabus. Revolution 2020 stands for that the revolutionary spirit of Chetan Bhagat. Revolution 2020 novel that deals with a love triangle, corruption and ambitions, and journey of self discovery, and address the issue of how private coaching institution for courses like IIT and JEE exploit aspiring engineering students. So, as per modern aspects, the Chetan Bhagat used the metaphorical language to suggest the strong determination, persistence, earnest attachment, encourages intimate and ardent the commitment and the key ingredients for securing success in life. What Young India wants. Young India wants is the autobiography of the Chetan Bhagat. This work analyzes in clear, simple prose with a great insight some of the complex issue facing the postmodern India, and also offer solutions to make our country better. Bhagat also puts empathizes on the empowerment in absolute freedom, pure liberty, and self-identity. So at the end, Chetan Bhagat articulated through his parables and that penetrating and the discerning analysis of the trouble Indian politics, society, and the economy advice is what they need, what needs to be done to set it right. And now the seventh novel of the Chetan Bhagat, The Half Girlfriend. It also adaptation of the Hindi movie with the same name. The Half Girlfriend is an interesting novel which not only motivated the youth to achieve success but encourage them to be confident and rational whenever they are faced with the pressing problem of time. This novel for Chetan Bhagat, temporary failure in a life has also meaning because it hides the secrets of success. According to Bhagat, money is not the be all all of life. Life involves things much greater than money. As a modern as perspective, the repeat is one among them. The one can earn respect if one lives with the dignity and when he lives for other. And now I'm put the conclusion about it. At the end, we can conclude that with the postmodern aspects, the result is that here a big gap between two generations due to technology. So we can't say that the parents are wrong, but this where their suggestions can work in this era of technology or not, we will have to think on it. And also Chetan Bhagat has portrayed his character as a decision maker. According to Bhagat, advise the youth not to follow every word of their parents and the boss blindly. They should know and think about that what he right or wrong. Here is my citations. Thank you.
Yes, questions here.
Hello Anjali, my question is why Chetan Bhagat is so trolled?
Yeah, who is asking? Acha, Aditi, from where are you asking? Acha, let me just a minute. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now you ask again. Yeah.
Hello Anjali, my question is why Chetan Bhagat is trolled?
Why Chetan Bhagat?
In trolled nowadays.
Role.
The question: who is the next?
Is Chetan Bhagat a good writer?
Yes, Chetan Bhagat is a good writer because Chetan Bhagat is a nowadays icon.
Now,
Okay. Yes, Khushbu, the Chetan Bhagat is a good writer because the Chetan Bhagat nowadays the icon of the new India. Her most of her novels theme of the romance, realistic fictions and non-fictions. The Chetan Bhagat writes the revolutionized Indian writing, and thus he is a good novelist.
You still those who are asking questions, work on your questions. Ask qualitative questions. Don't just ask for the sake of asking. Ask with a sense of curiosity. Okay. Yes. The next presenter now. By the time Bhavyang is adjusting the things, yeah. So Aditi has little bit worked on the citation and other things, but still you need to bring in many critical observations. Here you have only cited one article in this. The others are original text there. But Anjali had lots of problem in citation. Okay, so still I think you don't know how to cite the way you have done. It seems you don't know. So you might not have attended any of the research methodology classes or the workshops also when we were working. Otherwise, you won't cite things in this way. You have cited my website. Now, that is not necessary to cite a website. Now, a website exactly do not have anything specifically to what you want to cite in contemporary literature. So, it is as such not necessary. So, and citation also is wrong. But either way, it is problematic. So, that you have to check again. Okay, so are you ready, Bhavyang? Just a minute, I will say. Yes, it is visible. Yes, you unmute and you can start.
Shall I start, sir? Okay, so I am ASARI and today we will discuss about the contemporary literature in English. So my topic is about from Manasa to Madonna, reading religious and mythology in Amitav Ghosh Gun Island. So let's begin. So first we will see about the author Amitav Ghosh. So Amitav Ghosh was born in Calcutta in 1956 and he studied at the University of Delhi and Oxford and published the first of his 8 novels. Now we'll briefly see about the Gun Island. So it is about a dealer of a rare book. Dean, once solid belief began to shift, he is forced to set out an extraordinary journey on that takes him from India to Los Angeles and vanish via Tangle's route through the memories and experience of those he meets along the way. There is a Pia, a fellow Bengali American, who sets his journey in motion. Tipu, who opens thin eyes to the realistic of growing up in today's world. Rafi, with his desperate attempt to help someone in need, and Chinta, an ordinary friend who provide the missing link in the story. They are all a part of. Then it is a journey which will depend everything he thought he knew about himself, about the Bengali legend of his childhood, and about the world around him. Gun Island is a beautifully realized novel which effortlessly spans space and time. It is the story of a world on the brink of increasing displacement and unstoppable transition. But it is also a story of hope of a man whose faith in the world and the further is restored by two remarkable women. Now we will see the article from Mansa to Madonna, reading religious and mythology in Amitav Ghosh Gun Island. So Amitav Ghosh Gun Island rewrite religious as the dharma, the narrative that moves from Sundarban to vanish, constantly intergoes the border between real and imaginary, as Ghosh employ the myth of the snake goddesses Mansa and connect it to Santa Maria, also known as the Madonna of good health, and as the savior from the plague of 1630s, who stress her origins. The goddesses of snake to presence the first one by Banduki Saudagar and second one of Dean. The Gun Island thus emerges as a text that explore space of mythology and alternative religions. Gun Island redraws the border between science and religion, myth and religion, dream and reality, and between faith and practice, and return to basic Vedantic idea of ekam, or we can say once of all creatures. The new religious is mythological, dharmic, and ecological, make us of Upanishad, doctrine of Vasudev Kutumbakam. Ghosh create a mystical concern of religious that survives on memories, dream, and stories. This religion is more about dharma or the path, uh, the just and true on the idea that every creature on this earth must perform their own duty, swadharma, in order to maintain the balance of the ecosystem and or survive the climate existence. The journey of undertaking by mythical Banduki Saudagar is eventually proved by Dean, who witnessed the movement of illegal immigrant to Italy, who followed the same route. Ghosh posed a hypothesis that myth and memories are equal important to reconstruct of the history of the period in which the relic have been constructed. Speaker of presence, Ghosh realize of the Indian philosophy concern of the Bhut, who simultaneously means being and becoming, and much else as well. Thus, the past and the present coexist in the idea of Buddha. The religious myth find life in the happening of present on the present day when Dean has hallucination of the snake from the plan and see spider in the apartment of Chinta. After having heard the tale of Botman, Dean has been disturbed and could not sleep. After having returned to Brooklyn after his visit, he had the strange feeling of some living thing had entered his body. He had the feel of uh, carrying the burden of something else memory. In Gun Island, he speaks of other kind of presence that are not to be judged by rationality or science, but can only be felt and experienced. To Chinta, the past is a presence, as she did not believe in the temporal boundaries, or in the idea of time as a modernity knows it. Chinta tells Din that myth has the ability to reach out the future. Drawing the example of 17th century belief system, the era of Banduki Swadagar, Chinta speaks about the importance of stories, myth, legend, that are the portal to enter a premise of belief that is not bound by religious machinism. Then myth are religious and intertwined in the Indian culture system. Myth grows with a religion and can even be trans-religious. This myth of Banduki Saudagar that is related to the temple of Mansa Devi connected three religions. The Muslim caretaker has informed Nalima about the shrine being worshipped by the Hindus and Muslim both, with the Muslim connecting it to the Muslim Pir and saint name Ilyas. So, as we have seen in the historification of myth and mythification of history, at that time, we have seen the example of the great derangement. In that, we have seen about climate change. And we have seen the three images. One image was about a wooden snake, and it talks about Italy identity, and second image was about a island within an island. It was talking about a ghetto, and third image was about a circle arm, and it talks about a spider. So myth is a real history which is alive. Banduki was a cell by a period, and we can see the historical truth that focuses on a climate change, then Los Angeles, and then fire. And then in history we can see that culture of the earth, like human, dolphin, then snake, dog, and spider. And in myth we can see that it contains the universal truth. And now in the conclusion, we can see that, however, in the Gun Island, the wrath of the nature is seen in all its variant of force, fire, uh, tornadoes, flood, and the presence of the venomous spider and snake at an unusual place from the displaced story to symbolize from displaced human to migrant dolphin. Gun Island is a storehouse of unrest. The unrest uh, culminate in the grand show at the end of the novel. Well, rationality need to fail, and belief in the universalism of human compass must emerge as the new mystical and religious premise of sustain of the human nature and the nature around us. Here are the references. Thank you.
Hello Bhavyang, my question is what you get to know from this fictional novel?
As we can see that while reading this Amitav Ghosh fictional novel, we get to know about many of the country like Brooklyn, Los Angeles, then Oregon, then Sundarban, Italy, America, and then we get to know about California wildfire, and we also know about some of the italic word that what it mean, and then we also get to know about myth and mythification, and we get to know about that how people are migrating from one place to another place, and that same thing we can see in today's culture also, that for job people are instead of living in the village, they are migrating at the countryside for their better future. And we can also see the climate change in Amitav Ghosh Gun Island. Thank you.
Is the next to ask? Yes. Who? Okay.
Hello, Bhavyang. My question is that what inspired writer to write publish Gun Island?
As we can see that this novel Gun Island was published in 2019, uh, uh, but Amitav Ghosh has started writing this novel before that, and whatever he has taken the incident about Los Angeles and that fire, that has become a true, and we can see that he is talking about a fiction novel, and all the things he has mentioned is about it is not a real, but we can see that it has become a true in real life. Thank you.
Okay, so Bhavyang, yeah. Now, if you see your citations, is the screen open before you? No, just there only. If you can keep open your presentation and you can check, are you able to see any a kind of a mistake or anything in that? Yeah, we all are watching. Yeah, you all students are also watching. So, can you find any very simple? Yes, drive link. Okay. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Yes. See your first and third and fourth citation. Got it? Bhavyang? You got? Yeah. So now this will happen because manually you will do, then there will be a problem. So that's why some citation machines or MS Word, something, then this error will not happen. Otherwise, it will keep on happening. And I'm worried whether this will repeat in your dissertation also when you type. So, and you will not be aware that this is happening. And drive link also is a problem. Yes, so that also you need to work. Now, see, one more important thing we can see here, and that is about this. Everybody see this. Now, on this page, there are two in-text citations, and that is very good. You are referring to your citations. That is what we suggest you to do on your slides. Ghosh and Chatterjee. Now, Ghosh is here also. Then on the previous slide also, I have Ghosh and Chatterjee. And then in the subsequent other slide also there is Ghosh. Okay. Now I want to know that from where you have cited Ghosh and Chatterjee. So I go to your citations. So when I go on the last page, Chatterjee is once only, so there is no problem. So that problem is solved, that you have cited Chatterjee from this. But Ghosh is coming 3 times. So out of these 3 works, which work have you cited in text? That becomes a kind of a confusion to an evaluator, a thesis evaluator, or anybody who wants to go to your original source. So then they will have a problem in seeing that. So what you have to do, along with Ghosh, you have given page numbers. That is good when only once that writer is cited. But if it is cited multiple times, it is always good to type the name of the work also there. The name of the work, or if year is separate, then year also can be put. So that can ascertain that this Ghosh is 2022, but now here again all are 2022. All Ghoshes are 2022. So then again that will be problematic. That in which time, the time of publication is very important. This 2019, you see lots of date problem. Last one, 2 dates. Then previous one 22, 22 again, excess date, and the Penguin 22, earlier 22. So I'm still not able to know whether Gun Island is published in 22 or at some other time from the citations. You are citing from the Gun Island, the novel. So in which year is that original text cited is not getting clear here. All years are suggesting me 22, but it is there is one date 19, 2019, last one only, that is coming. So that is also the confusion. Now all such confusions are to be resolved. So you come to know why the citations are for. It is for the evaluator to cross verify whatever you have cited. Now when an evaluator goes to cross verify, the evaluator is confused about which Ghosh you are citing, from there to many other things also. So last 2 citations seems to be the original text. Is it so?
But I have got some short summary about the island, and the second is about the book.
No, it is an excerpt or a short summary? It might be some passages given on Penguin website. It won't be summary. So now if you have original text, then only that you can cite. No? From there also it will be similar.
No, I want to show that from there I have taken this.
But you are saying what you are taking? You are taking a paragraph from original novel. It is the paragraph original novel, or something else about the? Is it about the novel, or it is from Penguin that you have taken about the novel? So what is that about the novel? What means, what is that?
It is briefly about the Gun Island. That's what is included in that.
A blurb. It is a blurb about the book that you have used there. In third and fourth slide you have used this. Okay. Okay, yeah. In third, have you cited Ghosh there? In-text citation is there on that slide? It is not there. No? So then it becomes confusing that what you have done, how can I know? Now, the point is that why all these things are there in academic writing? To remove the confusion. Because when people are going to read your work, you won't be face to face. So how do you be very clear in your communication with the evaluator or anybody who is reading your article, which is published in some journal? When somebody is reading, you won't be there available to tell. That is the purpose of the citations documentation. So if you understand this, then you will keep on asking yourself the same question, that what am I doing? It is not that doing for the sake of doing. Well, it is told cite, so I am citing. So remove that idea from the mind. When you cite in dissertation research paper, it is not just a kind of a ritual, karma kand, that it is to be done, so it is done. It has a specific purpose. And that confusion should be avoided. Okay, so that is a problem there. Okay, so you can't see that. And then you have said this 2019 book. Now 2 January, why that date is given? Last one. If the book is published in 2019, then 2nd January. So you accessed on that day.
No,
Huh?
I have not referred to that.
You keep your mic on, yeah, okay, so you can. Yes, so
Yes, I refer to that presentation. That's why.
why are you referring to that presentation?
No, because in that citation I have included that book. No, that's why I have added.
No, but that presentation, what is the purpose of that? You will be talking with your friend in a hostel room. Will you cite that I was talking on that day in the hostel room about the book? You are just citing a book. So book is enough. 100 times you will refer to a book in various presentations. So all those dates are meaningless unless you have published an article from the book and you are citing the article or a blog or a slide share where you have added something. That if it is book, then book only. So why that date it becomes confusing. So I hope you are understanding
Yes.
because in dissertation we won't have this all time, and evaluators may not give you marks. If you keep on making, then you won't be there to explain them that I have done this or that. So if you not learn, then you won't be able to do that. So okay, so all the students, others also. I hope you all are. This is for everybody. It is not only for Bhavyang. It is for everybody that you understand all these things there. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, so let us come to the next now. This. Yes, unmute yourself and you can start.
Okay, shall I start? Hello everyone, I am MAHIDA. Today my topic is feminism in the novels of Chetan Bhagat. So let's start. First, I want to give an introduction about the author Chetan Bhagat. He was born on 22 April 1974. He is an Indian author and columnist. He was included in Time magazine's list of world's 100 most influential people in 2010, and he won the Filmfare Award for Best Screenplay for Kai Poche at the 59th Filmfare Awards in 2014. And his notable works are Five Point Someone, uh, One Night at the Call Center, The Three Mistakes of My Life, Two States, Revolution 10 2020, and One Indian Girl. His novel One Indian Girl is based on the new modern era of women, where women hold equality. And he has tried to talk about a lot of women issues like corrosion of women's achievement, independent women being forced to choose between career and home. And the main objective of his writing is to appreciate the liberty, rights, and views of women. And then come to our point that feminism in the novels of Chetan Bhagat by two researchers are there, Aarti Mishra and Anjali Srivastav. Uh, by this viewpoint, Bhagat's writing is more feminine than masculine. He gives voices and shows his concerns more to his ladies ladies than to his heroes. He has emerged as an iconoclast for his masculine illusion and has tried to feel and express the feelings and emotions of the ladies. And he believes that women have equal right to demand for equality in society as men. And in his novel One Night at the Call Center, the number of men and uh, women working in call centers is equal, and women choosing to work in night shifts is common. They earn their own living and make career choice. For instance, Aisha dwell in Delhi, leaving her home in order to make her modeling dream come true. And thus, we can say that in this new era, all men and women are equal. Even in case of marriages, now girls are insist their own opinions and choices. In the past time, marriageable boy and girl was bound to marry the match of their parents' choice, and that was regarded as their religious duty to repay the debt of parenthood. And the best reference will be Priyanka uh, from the same novel, who makes her own choice in case of marriage quite contrary to her parents' expectations. And the another character, Ananya, in Two States, tries to convince her parents till the end in order to marry her lover Krish. Thus, Chetan Bhagat's writing is more feminine than masculine. He gives a voice and shows his concerns to more to his ladies than to his heroes. Like Shakespeare, he too deserves to be criticized for creating better heroines than heroes. And we see another reference to marital in, infidelity among one of the protagonists of the six characters.
Radhika. She is a married woman in her mind 20s. Even her marriage takes place over whirlwind courtship in college. She now lives in a joint family with Anuj's ultra traditional parents as her husband works somewhere else in a different city. And thus, the feminist elements in the novel One Indian Girl have been the subject of much debate. And from this um, for this article by Aarti Mishra and Anjali Srivastav. For their point of view, this is viewed as a forced compromise with tradition, but Chetan Bhagat has, in the final pages, presented Radhika Mehta weighing the pros and cons of the three men in her life and deciding in favor of Bridges Gulati. In this, she is thoroughly human as well as feminist in her own way. And as a concluding point uh, uh, from this article, uh, Bhagat is a realist. He writes what he feels right. He is born in India, but he does not have any sense of the moral values the Indian youth are expected to nature. He is rather a pervaded author. He knows the need and choice of the youth. He knows that people love to read about violence and sex. But from my viewpoint, Bhagat writes these type of novels for business, not for moral sense. His novels are not even consist at moral for moral senses. No doubt he is an younger generation's writer, and he knows what his readers choice, but he doesn't want to change his pattern of writing with some moral and aesthetic sense. In short, he just want to go with the flow of newer generation. And here is my works cited. And thank you very much all.
Yes, please. Anjali and Bhavyang.
Yes.
Okay, Bhumika, my question is according to Chetan Bhagat, how affect woman empowerment effect how effect of woman empowerment.
So my question is, according to Chetan Bhagat fiction, how you see the new generation women?
Along with being competitive and ambitious, Chetan Bhagat's feminist characters are trendy as well.
Okay, so we have a couple of lessons to be learned from Bhumika's citations also. Yeah. One thing that we have seen, many of you are citing from those web platforms uh, which are archiving several uh, articles. They are just archive. They are not publisher, original publisher, but they are the archivals. So, for example, academia. When you cite academia, at that time also we see the same things there. Let me share a Chrome tab. You have cited something in your Yeah, this, for example, this is your citation we are seeing here. And you have like two citations from academia. Many of you are doing this. Many of ResearchGate, for example. If you don't remember the name, write down. So when you reach to those platforms, you remember that what exactly you are supposed to do. ResearchGate or academia kind of platforms are there where individual authors or journals, they use that platform for wider circulation of their articles. But academia or ResearchGate are not the publisher. They are just the platform. Now, if you can find from there that who is the original publisher, then it is always better to cite the original publisher and the source rather than this platform which is giving this facility. So if it is an art, for example, one of the articles that you have cited here, if I see here, then it is here. From academia, we can easily see that who is the publisher, and other things can be easily identified also. So it is better to go to there, and or resource also are available. Information is available, volume number, name of the journal. So it is better to cite from that rather than academia. Yeah, this. Now another, that is one point. Second point is that when you see those articles, we told you that you can verify whether it is of quality or not. Yes. We did one workshop, and in that workshop, we were talking about how to identify whether our work is of a good quality or not. So we were telling that if the writer is an academician, then authenticity increases. One more thing you have to see, that academician and then the writer who is writing the things, is that cited well or not? All those things. So if that person is not following a proper pattern of citation, then that resource becomes of poor quality. So now you can see on the screen, yes, all the students, you know that websites are not cited like this. You yourself know it very well. Yeah, this is the not the correct pattern of citing even web resources. So then it is problematic. Then it becomes problematic. So it raises questions to even the journal editor who allowed this kind of publications. Not only the writer, but even the journal editor, whose job is to see that all the articles published in the journal are of a good quality. Even you have a doubt regarding that also. And the very article becomes of quite a low quality in that way. So this again is the thing that you have to keep in mind when you write dissertation and when you go for resources. You have to cross check the things, and if that writer is not following the rules which you are, by like, you have to follow, you are told time and again that why are you not doing this. And if they are not doing, then their work also is of poor quality. That you have to keep in mind. So that way you see that, well, then that source is not very reliable, which you are citing, which decreases the quality of your work also, based on which you have done the work. I hope other students are also getting it, because when you are going to submit your dissertations, we won't have enough time to talk on all these things. So I think I can take an opportunity at this moment to guide you that all these things should be taken care of while writing dissertation. Yeah? Okay, fine. Yeah, next presenter now. Yes, we are able to see your screen now. Now you have to open the PPT and share that page. Right now, we are seeing this Google Classroom page where you have submitted your PPT. When you are working on online and things are going live, you have to keep on talking. Otherwise, people might think that there is an audio problem.
Visible? No. Yes. Okay. Yes. Visible? Google Slides. Now. Visible? Visible?
Are you seeing that? Share this tab instead.
Yes, sir.
Click on that.
I do. Slideshow. Yes. Shall I start, sir?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. Hello everyone, I am Chandani Pandya from Maharaja Krishna Kumar CG Bhavnagar University, Department of English. Today I am present on the era of environmental derangement, witnessing climate crisis in Amitav Ghosh Gun Island. Paper number 207, Contemporary Literature in English. First of all, we can see table of content, introduction, the great environmental derangement, climate crisis and crisis of culture, the degenerating ecosystem and non-human world, the ecological destruction, the entangled human life at the margins, global climate crisis and human intervention in the 17th century, and last we can see conclusion. In introduction, the climate crisis has become one of the major global threats in our Anthropocene. The whole world in witnessing the devastating consequences of climate change, both human-centric culture and lifestyle at the expense of nature have been held responsible for driving climate change. The broken relation between human, culture, and nature complements our argument that the crisis of climate is offshoot of limitless desire of humankind, as Ghosh described in the Great Derangement. Ghosh foregrounds in the text that climate change has been accelerated by the anthropocentric lifestyle that has changed culture patterns and advanced unending desires. It aims to locate how human life at the margins has been affected by these cataclysmic consequences through analyzing Ghosh in Gun Island. It attempts to show that human intervention has significantly fueled the global climate crisis in the 17th century, decoding the myth of Banduki Sadgar that Ghosh identifies in Gun Island. In the great environmental derangement, climate crisis, and the crisis of culture, Ghosh non-fiction, The Great Derangement prepares the understructure for his novel Gun Island. The non-fiction highlight the cataclysmic phenomena fueled by changing climate condition and underscores the prime factors that create that predicament. In the Great Derangement, he said about that the great mangroves of forest of the Bengal Delta, the Sundarbans, when the flow of water and silt is such that a geological process that usually unfold in deep time appear to occur at the speed where they can be followed from week to week and month to month. Overnight, a stretch of riverbank will disappear, sometimes taking houses and people with it. But elsewhere, a shallow mudbank will arise, and within weeks, the shore will have broadened by several feet.
next is given this human induces alteration, Dipesh Chakrabarti in his essay The Climate of History in 2009 terms human as geological agent and attributes them to alter the most basic physical process of the earth, and the weight of Ghosh that the wild has become the new normal. Ghosh in Gun Island illustrates this normal when being a dealer of rare books and Asian equalities, present an explanation for climate change and argue that global warming is happening because of excessive carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases present in the atmosphere, and the change is natural. Quinta, the humanist, remonstrate when Dean calls global warming a natural phenomenon, and she asks where these gases come from. The question: Do you know? Do they not come from cars and planes and factories that make whistling kettles and electrical toaster and explosive machines? Is all this natural too? That we should need these things that nobody needed 100 years ago. In this context, Brajendra Upadhyay's essay, Degrowth, in 2014, targets the economic ideas based on desire. He, in his essay, states that the climate crisis we encounter in the result of his economic idea. Excessive productive and overconsumption level in modern societies are the key contributors to environmental derangement. Hence, Ghosh attributes our anthropocentric culture patterns and the idea of good life to the deterioration of the environment that further leads to climate change and its devastating consequences. In the degenerating ecosystem and non-human world, Ghosh in the novel travels from the wild and tangled Sundarbans, mangrove areas that spans between India and Bangladesh, to Los Angeles, parched by wildfires, to slowly sinking Venice. He depicts an impact of the ecological chores that had happened in the Sundarbans, and highlights the same process of destruction of ecosystems that have been happening across the world. Ghosh in Gun Island draws attention that due to global warming, distribution of flora and fauna of ecosystem is being reconstructed. Then witnesses a venomous spider, brown recluse at Quinta apartment that is used to be the found and relatively warm regions. Ghosh argues that rising temperatures across the globe caused by the global warming is changing habits of various kind of animals, such as a spider, sheepworms, cobras, snakes, and among others in Gun Island. Similarly, Ghosh in his novel Hungry Tide in 2004 deals with the patterns of behavior of most of movement of dolphins. One of its characters, Pia, a marine biologist, tracks the movement of dolphins in the Sundarbans, and Pia believes that happened due to changes in the composition of waters in Sundarbans. She claims that with rising levels that diminishing flows of fresh water, water salinity has started to increase the intrude deeper upstream that has made the water too saline for the dolphins. Lisa, one of Pia's friend, is an entomologist and working on the research project of bark beetle. During the research, Lisa gets to know that the mountains are warming up. Bark beetles have been spreading wider and have invaded the forest around the town. And Curry Helivara and Miko Peltonen, in their research article, Bark Beetles in the Changing Environment, in 1999, reveal that bark beetle hollows out trees from the inside and cause wildfires during the dry spell when the dead wood kindly afire, and the ecological destruction, the entangled human life and the margin. We will attempt to locate how human life at the margins has been controlled by these altering events through the examining Ghosh in Gun Island. The novel exposes the consequences that inhabitants of Sundarbans are facing due to the ecological destruction of the mangrove swamp. Amitav Ghosh, contemporary world writer, highlights Ghosh's inclination towards the marginalized section of society in his fictional writing. Ghosh in Gun Island, along with describing the factors that drive ecological derangement and its destabilizing effect that further for the people to flee, addresses the wretched life of climate migrants. Tipu and Rafi, a pair of young Bengali boys in the novel, get trapped into the corrupt net of the traffickers in order to flee overseas. They are smuggled from the Bangladesh to Turkey via India, Pakistan, Iran in minibuses, wherein they are stuffed like animals. And global climate crisis and human intervention in the 17th century. In the quote, in this context, Uzela Kluvik in her essay, The Global Deluge, Foods, Floods, Diluvian Imagery, and Antique Language of Amitav Ghosh, The Hungry Tide, and The Gun Island, claims that the tale of gun merchant function as a review of climate change and it determines human relatives to recognize the underlying and inextricable links between human action and environmental alteration. And in last conclusion, Ghosh in Gun Island reflects that ecological mishap occurring in the Sundarbans and Venice indicate that the planet is on the brink of an environmental catastrophe. There must be a partnership ethic between nature and humanity that does not posit nature as a resource created specifically for human utility, rather represent coexistence between human life and biotic life with mutual support, reciprocity, and partnership with each other. And here are my references. Thank you.
Hello, Chandni. From your viewpoint, can Island can be the response of the Great Derangement?
Yes, Gun Island is the response of great derangement, and also Amitav Ghosh questioned contemporary fiction failure to address climate change and other environmental issues. In his eighth novel, he was not able to give a response of any climate changes in his eighth novel, but last this Gun Island novel in his attempt to answer that all those novels.
Yes, Chandni. My question is that through the climate crisis theme was Amitav Ghosh want to tell us through both novel that through the climate crisis theme what Amitav Ghosh want to tell in his both the novel.
Amitav Ghosh novel Gun Island with Amitav Ghosh in Gun Island with great derangement, he wants to tell that while advancing endless desire, human-centric culture and the idea of good life drive climate change and environmental determination.
Literature.
Okay, so who is the next now? What happened in this PC, KHUSHBU? See what is the problem, but you can solve it out quickly. You will have to do it. No, nobody from the heaven is going to come to solve the issue. You have to start working on that.
Shall I start, sir?
Yes.
Yes, let me share my screen first. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me open my tab from the classroom.
I'll try to connect with them.
Yes, sir, I am sharing my screen. Yes. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes.
Okay. It is opening because of slow network. Maybe it will. Yes. Yes. Is my screen visible properly?
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay, sir. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have a presentation of contemporary literature. I would like to start with the quotation that would you rather love the more and suffer? Would you rather love the more and suffer the more, or love the less and suffer the less? That is, I think, the real question. So this quote is from the Only Story by Julian Barnes, and Only Story is considered as the contemporary literature. The novel is begin with the very favorite or most famous quotation like, most of us have only one story to tell. I don't mean that only one things happen to us in our lives. There are countless events which we turn into countless stories. But there is only one that matters. Only one finally worth telling, and this is mine. The novel Only Story is written by Julian Barnes, and Julian Barnes is considered as a postmodernist novelist. He is also famous for his essays and short stories, and most of his novels are based on the memory, because he wrote about the memory novels, and in that he also mentioned the unreliable narrator as a protagonist. Then the only story. So this story, the only story is the novel, 13th novel of Julian Barnes, and this novel is a memory novel, and it was published in 2018. This novel is divided into three parts, and all the three parts are narrated by Paul Roberts. So, in this presentation, I am going to present about the significance of crossword in the novel Only Story. Before going to that, let us take you to the benefits of crossword puzzles. We all have heard the name of crossword games, and many times we are playing that. So, in Julian Barnes also used the game of crossword puzzle in this novel. So, what are the benefits of crossword puzzle? They can strengthen social bonds. Completing a crossword puzzle on your own is impressive, but you should never feel bad if you need to ask for the help. By playing this game, we can improve our vocabulary, we can increase our knowledge based on, or we can free from the stress by playing this game. We can boost our moods. So all these are the benefits of this novel. But in this novel, Julian Barnes is trying to prove the other things through the crossword puzzles. According to Saxena, Saxena has done research on the crossword puzzle as an active learning in undergraduate pathology and medical education. And in that research, he says that puzzle can be used as a means of enhancing general and scientific information and a facilitative role of problem-solving skills. What are the benefits of crossword in education? We find many in every field of education that gaming is playing very important role. So Gemina, in his use of crossword puzzle as an educational tool, is his research, and in that he says that utilizing the crossword puzzle as an enjoyable and participatory teaching tool accompanied by lecture could improve management quality in speech therapy sessions. Like that, many other researchers has given their view on crossword puzzle as a positively to the education field. Jung and many other researchers examine that crossword game is like increased learning motivation, and it improves students' satisfaction in the classroom, and it also and this such as computer-based learning. And Serena and Kumar, the both are researcher of use of crossword puzzle as a teaching aid to facilitate active learning in dental materials. So in that research, they have observed that use of crossword puzzle as a teaching tool in dental materials can relieve the tedium of lecture and traditional teaching methods, thereby providing a more relaxed and friendly classroom atmospheres. So this will facilitate the active learning and make the learning experience of students more productive. Wordle, as sir has mentioned at the beginning of the presentation while discussing the topic of every student, that Wordle is become very trending nowadays on Twitter and other social media platforms. While discussing this novel, studying this novel in the classroom, sir many times shared the link of Wordle and give the hint to us to play the game and share on Twitter. So Wordle is all about viral game. Twitter is going bonkers over. So what is Wordle? As Mac Mahon examined this, millions of people around the world are enjoying the simple yet frustrating daily word puzzle game. Wordle, created by US-based software engineer Joshua Wardle, is a way to pass time during the pandemic. So this is how the Wordle game is come into existence, and we can compare the Wordle, the contemporary Wordle game to the traditional crossword games. And Twitter is as I said, that Twitter is a new trend nowadays. And in past few times, you have heard that phrase. This time around, it is puzzle game that people are losing their minds. And the game is called Wordle. We can see that lot of people on Twitter sharing mosaics made up of green, yellow, and gray color boxes. As I have mentioned here, Bharat's tweet, and I have also tried to play Wordle game shared by Sir, and my tweet is also here. I have mentioned the screenshot of that tweet. By clicking. So in this novel, what is the significance of crossword represented by Julian Barnes? So Julian Barnes trying to observe this game in a new way. The postmodernist novelist Julian Barnes is interested in this traditional meaning that is discussed earlier in the benefits of these crosswords. What is the symbolism? So it is said that a literary symbol is an object or a person or a situation, an action that has a literal meaning in a story, but struggle or represents other meanings. So in this novel, Barnes has captured the nuances of social life lived in 20th century England by the Paul Roberts and Susan MacLeod and John and all. The crosswords were something so significant aspect of this traditional British activity that several characters of this novel are found meaningful, engaged with it. What are the hidden aspects of this British pastime activities? So in this novel, Robert, the narrator of the story, explained the hidden aspect of the British past activities. And he mentioned that everyone in the village where he is living, every grown up or rather every middle-aged person seemed to do crossword. Whether it is his parent, whether it's my parents, their friends, John, Gordon MacLeod, everyone apart from Susan. So here the question might become that why Susan is not playing crosswords. They did either the Times of the Telegraph. So John had those books of hers to fall back on while waiting for the next newspaper. I regarded this traditional British activity with some snootiness. I was keen in those days to find happen motives, perfectably involving hypocrisies behind the obvious ones. This supposedly harmless pastime was about more than solving cryptic clue and finding in all the answers. So, John's habit of cheating the crossword. This is the main aspect of the significance of the crossword in this novel. So apart from this interpretation of the crossword puzzle, it is quite often rescued in the novel that it is referred with John's habit of cheating the crossword. Paul Robert has observed many times John that she is doing cheating while playing crossword with the Paul, and he is quite surprised at this time, surprised with the habit of John, that why she is doing that. And once he directly asked to the John, and as the response of Paul's question, John said, Paul asked that why do you cheat at crossword? And John loudly said that, you cheeky bugger, I suppose Susan told you. Well, it is a fake question. I won, I can answer. She took another pull of her gin. You see, I hope you never get there yourself. But some of us get to the point in life where we realize that nothing matters. Nothing fucking matters. And one of the few side benefits of that is you are not going to go to hell for filling in the wrong answers in the crosswords. Because you have been to hell and back already, and you know all too well what it is like. But the answer are in the back of the book. Oh, but you see, to me, that would be cheating. So this answer is given by John. John said that the cheating in the crossword game is not actually cheating in a real life, because John is very alone in this, depicted as very alone in this novel, and by playing this puzzle game, she is trying to solve the problem of her life all alone. John's habit of cheating at a crossword. So, what is the symbolic significance of John in this novel? So, in this character study of John, we realize that how symbolically important is the representation of crossword in this novel. If we talk about the character of John as counter part of the character of Susan, then we come to know that Susan has a love object as a MacLeod and Paul both are a love object for Susan. So she hasn't any need to play the crossword game. But if we talk about the John, then she hasn't no one in his life, and she is all alone. So she is trying to solve her problem by playing the crossword puzzle, and she continuously being busy with that game. Her repressed desire in looking for humans to be her love object. This is for Susan. John's habit of cheating as crossword. And hence all this interference drawn by Paul seems to be true for the John, as mentioned in this novel, that the desire to reduce the chaos of universe to a small, comprehensible grid of black and white squares. The underlying belief that everything in life could, in the end, be solved. So it is the belief. And the confirmation that existence was essentially a ludic activity, and the hope that this activity would keep at bay the existential pain of our brief sublunary transit from birth to death. Apart from John, there is one another character that is also playing the crossword game, that is Gordon McLeod. And on the two in this novel, on the two occasions, he is playing that game, and he is found solving the crossword with Paul Roberts. So the answer to the puzzle are Taunton. The name that word is the name of the town, and the meaning of that word is continue mocking on it. And trefoil, arbiter in the middle of toil work. If we read this word in context of the relationship between Paul and Gordon, then we come to know that we find some symbolic significance in it. And Taunton making mockery of something is represented here for the Paul, Susan, and Gordon. Both these words in the crossword puzzle seems to signify a taunt on Paul's middling in between Susan and Gordon's not happy married life, because as we know that Paul is a 19-year-old while Susan is 48 years old, and Susan is already married. But Paul is in with love with Susan. To conclude, we can say that the reference of crossword in this novel is spread across the novel. It is referred critically as a British pastime activity, but actually it is not. It also makes the snootiest critique of the habit. Apart from these all socio-cultural references, and the crossword puzzle has symbolic significance to the study of character of John as a counterfoil to the Susan. That why John has a need to play the need to cheat the crossword game. And it is also useful to study the strangular relationship between Paul Roberts, Susan's, and Gordon McLeod. And these are my references. I don't know, sir. I have to cite Julian Barnes' website or not. You had told earlier that I have cited here.
What source is taken from that?
I have taken the basic information of Julian Barnes about Bone and his literary movement and journal.
The biography.
Yes, biography.
The website writers, if you can find, then that can be cited, or the writer himself will be cited for that, if they are not mentioning any other things. So here you have on this website, there is a webmaster, Ryan Roberts. So that can be cited when you get the name of somebody who is writing the website. Not the writer, but it's for marketing. So writer may not be writing, but publisher might be hiring the people to write. So at least here you have this person, Ryan Roberts, which can be cited.
Shall I stop sharing my screen?
Yes. And questions?
Yes, Daya. My question is that can you define briefly the crossword of this novel and today's trendy game Wordle in your side? I mean, in your words, can you define this connection between two?
Connection between Wordle and crossword game. Okay, these both are like the same. In the traditional time, crossword is played as a black and white. If you have idea that, and in Wordle, in Julian Barnes use crossword game for John to describe that she is solving her problem by her own, and she is all alone in life, and she is busy with that. And nowadays, Wordle is played by most of us. We all from our class, we all are, I think, playing that game. And by playing that, we can increase our vocabulary and our problem solving skill and all. So we can connect with that.
Okay, Daya. You have put a Twitter tweet in your PPT. So, what is the meaning of that three colors, yellow, gray, and green? So, and do you know how the game come into existence?
Yes. thank God I have played that game. Then I come to know about that three colors: green, yellow, and gray. First of all, I will talk about why this game is existence. As I have mentioned earlier, that in Corona time, that name I have mentioned in the PPT, that US-based software engineer Joseph Wardle has in a leisure time found that in the pandemic leisure time he found that, this game and share on the social media. So that how this game came into existence, and that color green color I think is used for the correct letters when we played the game. When we got the correct letter, then the green symbol is there. Then yellow color is for correct wrong position. Letter is correct, but the position is, if the position is wrong, then the yellow color is used, and while gray color is used for wrong letter. Yes, sir. Is it gray color is used for wrong letter in Wordle, or if I am not
That
wrong?
is not something very important. People will keep on changing colors. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
In mobiles, you know, various people can change the colors. Color is something which is not like symbolically very deeply connected with anything. We all know that you can use any of the app in variety of colors. So that as such doesn't stand for anything. Color has no such meaning at all. It is just to differentiate between three things. Only that is there. That color will change also.
Presentation you have cited ResearchGate. So from that you have to go to the original journal where it is published, and that article is published. That is on the use of crossword puzzle as a teaching aid to facilitate active learning in dental materials. There it is, and there it is, Indian Journal of Applied Research. That is the main publisher of that article. So that should be cited. ResearchGate or academia are just the platform where things are shared with other people. So use that to go to the original source. Okay, next one. Yet not. Have you shared the screen?
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, is it now visible? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone.
If you
Myself,
will share that screen which you have now,
Okay.
full screen.
Is it okay right now?
Yes, now you can start.
Okay, so myself Hiral Kashyap, and today I'm going to present my view on women empowerment in Revolution 2020 by Chetan Bhagat. So, Chetan Bhagat is an Indian author and columnist. He was included in Time magazine's list of world's 100 most influential people in 2010. Bhagat graduated in Mechanical Engineering IIT Delhi and completed PGP at IIM Ahmedabad. Chetan Bhagat is a rising star in the contemporary modern Indian literature. Is a multi-talented personality. He is a novelist, columnist, public speaker, and screenplay writer. His notable work include 5 Point Someone, The Three Mystics of My Life, and Two States. Revolution 2020 is a Love, Corruption, Ambition is a 2011 novel by Chetan Bhagat. It is a story concerned with a love triangle, corruption, and journey of a self-discovery. Revolution 2020, Love, Corruption, Ambition is a novel by Chetan Bhagat and has addressed the issue how private coaching institutions of exploit aspiring engineering students and how parents put their lifetime earning on say these classes so that their children can track the engineering exams and change the fortune of the family. While a handful accomplish their dreams, others sink into disaster. The book is available on audiobook on Amazon as well. So, today, I am going to represent this article and the view of mine on this article, Empowerment of Women, Chetan Bhagat Revolution 2020 by Dr. Priyanka Kaushal, Assistant Professor of English, Career Point University. So, first of all, we will talk about Arti Kashyap. So, here we are able to see a few points that is confused, emotional imbalance, dependent and yet independent, and girl from 2020. So, I have choose this point because she is independent to select and move from Raghav to Gopal. But also we are able to see that she was dependent on them all. How she is a 2020 girl. So because she was able to take decision on her own, whether to choose A or B. Like in Far from the Madding Crowd, Bathsheba was also kind of independent, but seen always emotionally and dependent on characters from that novella. But that was strange and weird in that time and normal and acceptable in this time. So here I have found the article of Dr. Priyanka Kaushal and her thought of women empowerment in Chetan Bhagat's Revolution 2020. Chetan Bhagat framed the real picture of modern woman. He explored the empowerment of women in education, career, business, politics, family, fashion, and society. A study finds a pretty young and modern female character of novel, Aarti, with two main characters of novel like Gopal and Raghav. Her impression of beauty, intelligence, smartness, innocence, admire others. Her love, devotion, friendship, status, and appearance attract readers as well as the critics. So, Chetan Bhagat frames real pictures of modern women. As we know, women in education, career, business, politics, family, fashion, and society. A study finds a pretty young modern female character of novel Aarti with two main characters of novel Gopal. The writer of novel expresses woman empowerment through Aarti in realistic manner. He presents her as educated girl, loving daughter, passionate student, faithful friend, and dear beloved. A research finds women empowerment through education, which Chetan Bhagat focuses on quality education. Another side, financial freedom also comes to notice in this writing. The inner strength and positivity of Aarti brings sensation of the word to literature. The writer of novel expresses woman empowerment through Aarti in realistic manner. He presents her educated girl, loving daughter, passionate student, faithful friend, and dear beloved. So, female strengthening comes through vocation situated nature of female position. Post-colonial India, lady looks autonomous and sure to make her profession. Chetan present proportion of ladies' opportunity in this composition through profession, instruction, relationship, style, and abilities. In set of experience, as Sujarit present the provincial Indian woman with recognition against cultural evils. Priyanka Kaushal additionally centers around Indian womanhood in this review of Rabindranath Tagore, The Brick, where Hemnalini, a female person of novel present, the state of lady in Indian society. Also, Aarti, an aggressive young lady of Bhagat's clever presents herself as an objective arranged lady when she begins her profession as an air master in India career. A situation of innovation additionally referred through the working ladies. Dream the concentrate additionally present current reasoning through the Indian female person of novel. Aarti likewise joined an Ebonic Institute Avionic Institute, and furthermore construct and trip of women liberation. Her responsibility won the battle for her profession, acquire ladies training post-colonial in India. The creator communicates an advanced arrangement female instruction, particularly in career, where an informed lady comes an airline steward. In current world, guardians additionally pleased to send their girls to stylish position. Moreover, Sangeeta likewise discussed the quick, changing inside scene of these ladies got up to speed in medieval and man-centric framework, going through profound financial change, woman awareness, a come to see when Aarti and Gopal meet in eatery. She inquires Gopal's life, work, profile like a teacher as well as a wisher. The writer demonstrates unsure about female when Aarti alarms her companion, you have controlled more troublesome things in life previously. You will make. The essayist likewise shows ladies' insight when she cautioned Gopal, a beloved companion, not to entertain himself with unlawful issues. Reality and genuineness of lady celebrates her character. Lady looks striking, have relationship with other. Principal courageous woman of Chetan Bhagat's fiction communication, love for Raghav, all things considered this kid as a beloved companion of her personality. She is in relationship with him. Her doubtlessness brings sensation among youthful females of present day India. At some point, she looked to give her like and for the Raghav walks and style. No, however, I must choose between limited options in the events that is satisfies him. So be it. Aarti communicates her to for her sweetheart. The constitute additionally investigate immaculateness of humanity of lady, where the creator examines some man issues against person for their advantages. So, so we are having the conclusion that the author presents lovable struggle, professional, social, female in various contexts. Aarti as a friend proves her loyalty. As a beloved, she strays with her lover. As a daughter, she never disappoints her parents. Bhagat represents her positivity and humbleness in every relation. Women association is a legislative issue, shows her mindfulness and sharpness for a country. Bhagat composes assaultry on a political medalist in accent of Aarti. They look away my freedom from the fight. Chaperon to visit a relation. It shows the political mindfulness among women. They will make me visit 1,000 towns and sit with 70 years elderly people man at day. So the author present lovable struggler, professional, social, female, and various contexts. The writer highlight the powerful images of women. She performed like a source of energy in man's life, such as a Gopal and Raghav, both male character, and of novel find helpless, careless, and unproductive without her. Fortunately, the novelist writes the realistic part of women in Indian society and culture. He explored modernity, adaptability, and liability of women in his writing contest. So here I am having question for all you guys, because we are in the end of the novel. We are seeing the question: is Gopal good or bad, and what are your opinions on Gopal? But I have question for you: that how do you see Aarti? Is Aarti Kashyap good or bad? Have you seen a girl like Aarti Kashyap in another literature or movie?
Yes, Hiral.
Okay.
I answered the first question. I think Aarti is a good or we can't say Aarti is a good or bad because Aarti knows what she wants, and when someone close to Aarti, that time the Aarti keep with these or that person. When someone leave to her, she goes with another one. So we can't judge Aarti as a good or bad person.
Okay. Anyone else?
What was the first question?
How do you see Aarti? Is Aarti Kashyap good or bad? Have you seen a girl like Aarti Kashyap in any other literature or movie?
Yes, I want to say that Aarti is. We cannot judge Aarti by the character in this novel because she is very modern girl. And if the people that mindset of traditional mindset will not accept, obviously will not accept Aarti what she did in this novel. But we cannot judge her because she is modern novel and she has a freedom to live herself.
Okay. Anyone else? Have you seen any character or any movie which has character like Aarti? Okay, so here, as I have given example of Bathsheba, Bathsheba was kind of woman in far from the mating crowd that she was having, and she was rising the freedom, like she was having choice. She was making her own decisions. She was living the way she wanted to live. And because when Gopal Aarti, because Aarti, when she was with Gopal, she was cheating with Raghav, and when she was with Raghav, she was cheating him with Gopal. So at the end of the novel, we can say that Aarti is kind of acceptable and non-acceptable as well, because Aarti was a kind of girl who was confused. As I mentioned in my previous slide, she was confused, but acceptable because she was raising the raising the voice like of her, like she was living the way she wanted to live. She was having her choice. She was behaving like a freedom girl, like a modern all women nowadays wanted to have choice of freedom. That's why Aarti is acceptable, but non-acceptable because she was emotionally weak and confused. Okay, so I have selected this quote of Chetan Bhagat, and that is 100% opposite of Sir Dilip Barar, because in this quote, he said that work hard but make time for your love, family, and friends. Nobody remember PowerPoint presentation on your final day. Because this is the difference between Chetan Bhagat and Sir, and this is completely opposite of Sir and him. And here are my references. So the questions to me.
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of corruption you are able to find in agriculture?
Aarti Kashyap.
Yeah, ask again.
Okay.
What kind of corruption you are able to find in agriculture?
Okay, so on my accordance, Aarti Kashyap was emotionally corrupted. She was having not stability in her own mind. Like she was confused between two people. She was always having trauma in her mind. So she was emotionally corrupted. Like, because she was literally emotionally cheating both of the person from the novel. So she was emotionally corrupted. Next.
Yes, I am going to ask. Yes, Hiral. When we first, I want to give first the answer of that. Did you find any film or a novel? Then,
Yes.
shall we? We can give example of the film, of course.
Yes.
In that film, we can find the freedom of that protagonist. My question to you is that when we read the novel first time, obviously we had acting because we don't know the end of the novel. But at the end, we come to know about the we able to accept the Aarti as it is acceptable character according to you.
Okay, so yes, on my accordance, Aarti is acceptable as a modern girl because she was like able to take decisions. She was independent, but we all may have not accept kind of girl in our real life because our friend or sister-in-law in with kind of character we won't trust them, because character development is also all we are looking for, because confused people can change their side anytime, and they are not stable. They can cheat you and dump you anytime, and so she is acceptable as a modern girl, but in a and not acceptable, unacceptable, and as a friend or family or in real time. Thank you.
Okay, so you're asking about your this
citations.
Yes.
So in this you have improved from yesterday, but still there are few things which you have to take care of. Like first you are only talking about one article, so you have to pick up quite a good number of references, and then you have to talk about it. And one article that you have referred is this is the article that you have referred,
Yes.
and all the citations from this you have put in your
Citations.
citations also.
Yes.
So one point is this, that couple of things, two, three point of views, and then your point of view.
Yes.
That is one important thing. Then even when you like take from this, copy paste also maybe it is distorted or I don't know, but here again it doesn't come in a proper way. So when you see this, and if you see this, now see here there is a paragraph pattern is called hanging paragraph style.
Okay.
Hanging paragraph style means it is opposite of traditional paragraph. In traditional paragraph, we put indent first, means space first in the first line. All other lines are near the margin. In hanging, it is opposite. First line is near the margin, all other lines are pushed back. So in citations, normally hanging paragraph style is used. So this is again, everybody, if you are not doing in this way, this is what you have to follow in your dissertation. All lines are not similar. All lines are not near the margin. The beginning of the citation is near the margin, and then the other resource is pushed back. And for that, if you go to Word, copy paste your all citations, select, go to paragraph setting, and just select hanging paragraph, automatically it will become like this. You don't have to remember this carefully. You don't have to individually push back each and every line. Don't do that. It will distort your entire citation if you will push back, yeah, by clicking on space or other thing. Don't do that. Use hanging paragraph pattern and let it be done automatically. If you try to do it manually, you will distort the entire thing. And when you go for printing, again things will be distorted. You change from one laptop to another or mobile, it will get distorted. So if you don't want to get all those things distorted and see this, hanging paragraph style is what you have to go for. So that is here that you have to keep in mind. And now here, if you see your citation where you have used this, it gets all hodgepodge. There is a space and then there is colonization of women. Now, is that a separate citation or who is the writer? Nothing is clear from here.
Where?
I'm sharing a screen. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir.
The colonization. You see the colonization of women?
Colonization of women in the poetry of...
Yeah. Now, who is the writer of that? Citations go by writer's name. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so it is not clear. So when I went back to see here, I came to know that it was the same writer. That is Priyanka Kaushal was the writer. But what is done there? There are 3 dashes are there.
Yes.
To prove that the above writer is the writer of this. Now you have not done this. It's a slight error, but it's a huge mistake. Because this 3 dashes makes it the point clear that it is the above given writer. So that is another also like this problem. Charioteers. So it is in continuation with my beloved charioteer. Getting the point?
Yes.
So then it seems to be another citation. Post-colonial and literature. in this, my beloved charioteer, I'm sharing now that screen. So you can see this. Yeah? So this all things need to be avoided, or you
Yes.
need to look at it when you think about it. Okay, fine. Yeah, next presenter.
So for today's presentation, first I am sharing my screen. So here is my.
It is now.
I think it's visible. So myself, Jignesh Panchasara, I am a student of Maharaja Krishna Kumar Singhji, Bhavnagar University. So today we have a second day of presentation. So the topic is the character portrayal of Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh. So first, let me introduce that who is Amitav Ghosh. He was born in 11th July 1956 at the age of 65 in Kolkata, West Bengal, India. And he grew up India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. He studied from the Delhi, Oxford, Alexander, and his occupation as a writer, and his nationality is Indian. And he got many notable awards like a Jnanpith Award, Sahitya Academy Award, Anand Puraskar, Dan David Prize, and Padma Shri. So here is one quote by Amitav Ghosh. There was a land of sugar where everything was sweet, and also a country made of cloth, and an island of chain. So here's some key facts about Gun Island. Title: Gun Island. Author Amitav Ghosh, published in 2019. Literary period: contemporary, and also genre is historical fiction. And here is the point of view: first person narration, and there are 289 pages in the book. So here is major characters of Gun Island. So today we are going to discuss 5 major characters of the Gun Island. There are so many characters in the Gun Island, but today we are going to discuss only 5. So first one is Dinanath Datta Din. He is one of the rare book dealer, protagonist or narrator, born in Calcutta, works in New York. So, Gun Island is the first person narration by the novel's main character, is the Dinanath Datta. The mild-mannered Dinanath Datta Akkadin, a dealer of rare books who lives and makes his living in Brooklyn. Din's place's Middle Ages life is mostly occupied by books, academic meetings, worrying about his finance, and trips to the therapist to figure out why he can't form a stable romantic relationship. Every winter, Din travels to his childhood home in Calcutta, where his parents had come as a refuge from the East Bengal after the partition of India to avoid the bitter cold of North America. During one such visit the city, he is thrown into maelstrom of unexpected events that spiral out on path that is both bewildering and at times terrifying. It begins with a visit to the Sundarbans at the request of family member, as also by Din's scholarly interest in 17th century Srin associated with ancient Bengali folklore about a seafaring merchant known as a Banduki Sodagar, gun merchant, and his power struggle with Mansa Devi, the Hindu deity of snakes and venomous creature. The scenario that unfolds from there is rife with accidents, coincidence, natural disaster, feverish dreams, airy pregnancy, and trips across continents by the novel's character come with official travel papers and others without. So our another character is Pia Leroy, Pia, American girl, and research on dolphin. She is one of the American girl who is researching on dolphin. She suggests that to Dean to visit Nilima's auntie. She is kind-hearted. While researching on one of her helpers died too, she took all the responsibility of his helper, son Tipu. She had gifted Tipu laptop, tablets, the latest phones, game, console, music systems, and when Tipu complained that he was often unable to use his gadgets, was often because of power cuts, Pia has paid to have their house solarized. She is living with her Nilima boss. She helps Moina in her life. She has an attachment with a dolphin and she loves to do her research. She is a member of trust in Sundarban. It is working against the refinery because the refinery is polluting the river. Our third major character is Gia Quinta Skio, means Quinta, is one of the researcher, professor, and works move into Venice. So further for Quinta, she is one of the researcher who is doing research the history of Italy. After the death of her husband, that she used to go to library at that time. She meet Dean. After they become good friends, and both are planned to visit the library in Calcutta. She was mentally disturbed because her husband Giacomo and her daughter Lucia died due to an accident. She has a kind of mentally that her daughter is still alive. She often talks with her daughter, but it is her hallucination. She died at the end of the novel. So our another character is Tutul, means Tipu, Americanized young fellow, good with dealing with technology. So further for Tipu, when Tipu reached 13 and was old enough for high school, Pia had taken him with her to the small university town in Oregon, where she lived and worked. Being where she lived, being often left to fend for himself, the boy had fallen within the wrong crowd and had even had a couple of brushes with the police. After returning from America, his clothes, his manner, his wear changed. Even he changed his name Tutul to Tipu. So look at the here I will use one kind of cartoon that after returning from the America, Tipu has changed his lifestyle, and he is helping people who want to migrate, and he makes all the necessary connection for migration. While saving Din, he was bitten by cobra snake. After that event, he started discovering the story of Mansa Devi with Rafi. But they were separate from the border of Turkey. At the end of the novel, Tipu comes in the boat with all migrants. And our last and major character is Rafi. Rafi was the caretaker of the Srin, grandson of Maji, and also migration to Venice. And further for Rafi, his grandfather gave him the name Ilyas, but only he knows about it. He was a poor, uneducated man, but know how to use a cell phone. He says Tipu's life. Pia has a suspect that Tipu and Rafi started the journey for Venice, but separate from the border of Turkey. After that, he came to Venice and started collecting money for Tipu because he wants to take Tipu with him and give that money to the connection man. He was beaten by two unknown people because of money. And these are my minor characters of the novel. Kanai, friend of Dean, Nilima Bose, aunt of Kanai, Moina, fierce friend and helping her own research, Warren Nasker, boatman, Durga, lover of Dean, Lisa Pias, roommate of college, Gisela, niece of Kinta, Ima Gisela's partner, Lubna Khala, lady from Bangladesh, and Munir, husband of Lubna, and Bilal, working under Lubna, and also roommate of Rafi. And further, Maji, Muslim man, caretaker of Srin, Lucia, daughter of Kinta, Alice, Kinta's mother, Fazlul Hogu Chaudhry, working under Lubna Khala, Larry, research on spider, Marco as a watchman, Sandro Di Vigno, admiral in Europe, and Fokir, Tipu's father. And these are the mythical characters of the Gun Island, like Mansa Devi, the goddess of snake, gun merchant, is one of the atheist person, and Ilyas as a captain of ship, and Ambrosio Bembo as a traveler. And these are my work citation, and thank you.
Yes, I am. Yes, Jignesh. My question to you is that you have discussed the character of Pia in this Gun Island, and she is doing PhD work on the topic. So, what is the significance of that research, according to you, in Gun Island?
So,
Okay, so my question is to you is that how do you say that Rafi is a good character, or how do you see Rafi in this?
okay. So as I have mentioned that Rafi is a good character. So first question arises in our mind that why Rafi is a good character? Because as we know that in our modern time there are lots of incidents happen in the road. At that time there are no one no one is going to help to that person. And here is the one reason that when a snake stings to Tapu, at that time Rafi without thinking Rafi can save the life of Tipu. So that's things that uh, that's one of the things that Rafi is a good character, and Rafi has a kind of good heart because the kind of humanism reflect in the character of Rafi. That's why we can say that Rafi is one of the good characters.
Okay, so this is the final. Remember, you have to speak something when you are there. Don't silently stand. So whatever you are doing, keep on speaking something about it.
Good afternoon, respected sir and my dear friends. Mm, just a minute. Yeah, the slides are opening.
So by the time your slides are opening and you are sharing, you keep on doing that work. Okay? So yesterday
You have committed a couple of mistakes about which, like one was that giving not properly evaluating. You have to do peer and self evaluation, but you have to test your skills of evaluation, how to evaluate. That is what is very important. So you can't randomly give points to everybody, full points or whatever way. We told you earlier, this is fourth time. So such mistakes are not pardonable. You keep on sharing your screen. Once the slide will come, I will stop speaking. The slide has yet not come, which you are supposed to share. Secondly, we told that you have to edit your response. If there is any mistake, then edit. Don't resubmit. That is very clear instructions now. Fourth time in fourth season. Okay. I'm surprised that why so many times the same thing I have to keep on telling to a very grown-up adult young students, master students. Why don't they get an idea once it is said, well, it is to be done. Why the same instructions I have to repeat every 6 months, and this is the fourth time, final time now. Now you are all going to go out in the market, in society. So again, your slides are still not coming, so I'm speaking more. Still, you you have to share that screen, that tab. Now, yeah, now it is there. Okay, so now again, see, this is our objective is to make your literary sensibilities powerful and digital skills also. And that's why today only I had one message from a friend that why are you still doing online? Everybody is doing offline now. So I told that it is for both. As a teacher also I learned something, and our students also need to learn a lot now. When they will become tomorrow's teacher, then if you don't know, then what kind of teachers you will be, or whatever work you will be looking for. Basic skills in digital things, if you don't have, then it will be a highly problematic thing. People will say that the students of these universities are not skilled, so it is better they don't apply. It's better they don't apply, and many other people who are skilled may also not get a job because of few who are unskilled. A few who are unskilled. It is better not to study and remain abound rather than study and not learn skills. આના કરતાં એ સારું કે આપણે કોઈ ડિગ્રી જ ન લઈએ. એટલે કહી તો શકીએ કે અમે તો અભણ છીએ, અમને કંઈ આવડતું નથી. પણ ભણ્યા પછી યુનિવર્સિટીઓના લેબલ આપણે ઉપર લગાડ્યા પછી આપણે સ્કિલ ડિસ્પ્લે ન કરી શકીએ તો it is very problematic. Okay, so you can start now.
So, my topic is The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy. In this novel, we see that there are so many dimensions covered, so many various types of cultures, and it is we can say that it is a multi-dimensional novel, and there are so many things connected. One side transgender, Kashmiris, Dalits, Muslims, Hindus, and the politics. Everything is connected like a cobweb of narratives. And I'm going to deal with themes and other some what critics have said, some quotations, quotes, and citations. So the theme first one is corruption, political violence, capitalism in the novel. In this contemporary post-colonial Indian politics. So in this novel, that politics has lots of influence on the life of marginalized people, that they are not getting proper rights, and they are suppressed and oppressed by the mainstream people and those who are in power positions. Then the Indian Army receives the brunt of all criticism for their seemingly limitless corruption and unwarranted violence against Kashmiri citizens, all for the sake of profiting from the war. They are fueling the very conflict that they claim to be fighting against. While Indian military officials in Kashmir claim to believe in Indian nationalism and supposedly want to integrate Kashmir into their country, in reality, they want the conflict to continue simply so that they can continue to profit from the war. So they want the war to continue, and they are very happy with that. Then second thing, that Indian officials are prone to killing innocent Kashmiris and pretending they are dangerous terrorists because they are awarded for this. So they are killing very innocent people just because they get awards and promotions. Indian soldiers are willing to undermine their own supposed mission to win the war against Kashmir for capital gain. Not only they are simply not doing their job, they are willfully harming Kashmiris who are actually technically Indian citizens, which furthers their characterization as corrupt. Then Naga, a corrupt journalist. Biplab later reveals that when Naga begins to collaborate with the government, he receives promotions and accolades at work because he is the first journalist to hear about special government-related news. As a character, Naga embodies the corruption of the media. In spite of his so-called progressive values, he is ultimately willing to tell only the stories the government wants him to tell, because doing so grants him a position of power within the profession. Like soldiers, Naga is willing to stray from his values due to the influence of capitalism. So in this moment, again, readers are exposed to the idea that those who seem to be fighting to an end a conflict often profit from its continuation. In reality, they stand to bring unending conflict and therefore unending profit to the businessmen who take advantage of the political situation. Then, the next theme is gender identity, social division, and coexistence. Anjum, she is a transgender hijra and she has special society status. Although Anjum lives in a highly sexist society that privileges the masculine over the feminine, her identity as a hijra grants her a special social status that sometimes protects her. Traveling to a popular Muslim shrine, Anjum and a host of other pilgrims are attacked by Hindu terrorists seeking justice for Hindu recently killed by Muslim militants. Every Muslim in the area is massacred except for Anjum. Now here she is saved. Why? Because she is spared, because as one of the extremists observes, killing hijras brings bad luck. So in this instance, Anjum's marginalized identity literally saves her life. One of the characters, Nimmo, another hijra, with whom Anjum lives, relates the experience of being a hijra to the conflict between India and Pakistan, linking the gender binary to the violent partition of the two countries. So, she is not able to maintain the two identities that are confined in her own body, and so she finds conflict. She compares it with the conflict between India and Pakistan. So, throughout the novel, India-Pakistan conflict is portrayed as senseless violence, a war between two peoples that had forgotten they were once neighbors who had been to each other's weddings. Just as Indians and Pakistanis are not really separate from one another, the masculine and feminine genders are not necessarily opposite, that they are in conflict with each other. Aftab disagrees with this Nimmo's pessimistic outlook, thinking to himself that he was happier than he had ever been. This suggests that he himself might also have an understanding that the gender binary is artificial and the recognition that multiple genders can coexist within the same being. In a way, Anjum embodies the concept of coexistence. She is able to accept in spite of all the hurdles, by allowing two genders considered to be fundamentally opposite to coexist within her. By characterizing this as a special and even sacred identity, Roy demonstrates the power that comes from embracing differences rather than seeking to destroy it. And next, social hierarchy and social inclusivity. While the conservative characters in the novel seek to uphold the hierarchy that privileges them, the oppressed and marginalized characters continuously fight for greater equality in their society. By demonstrating the difference between the characters that believe in hierarchy versus those that combat it, Roy ultimately demonstrates that social hierarchy is isolating and perpetuates violence. whereas social inclusivity allows characters to live more happily and peacefully. Here, the Biplab Das Gupta, the narrator of the part of the novel and Brahmin government official who works with the Kashmir conflict, serves to exemplify the elitism and conservatism of India's Hindu upper classes. Das Gupta introduces himself as the upper class oppressor from every angle, or in other words, a treasury-less man. Now, in addition to being an oppressive but successful functionary of the government, Biplab is an alcoholic with a failing marriage. What's more, he has never had the courage to tell Tillo, the headstrong South Indian woman with whom he infatuated, that he likes her. So his immediate noticing of Tillo's skin color, an important class marker in India, demonstrates how deeply he has been conditioned to think first and foremost of social status. Biplab ends up unhappily marrying another Brahmin woman named Chitra. This suggests that his reluctance to tell Tillo about his feelings doesn't just stem from a childish fear of talking to women. Likely, his resistance stems from an inability to step across the class lines that separate them. Thus, Biplab's class privilege doesn't only isolate him in a broad sense from members of other classes, they cause him to isolate himself in his personal life as well. So, by contrast, Anjum and the community she creates completely disregard social hierarchy and espouse radical inclusivity, which is what allows them to have such a loving and nurturing community. The one clear criterion was that Jannat funeral services would only bury those whom the graveyards and imams of the dunya had rejected. Anjum elevates and celebrates the human life that is discarded and disrespected by the society in which she lives. It is through this that she is able to build community and business. The funeral home is almost always bustling with friends and customers. In addition to accepting customers in spite of their low social status, Anjum also accepts customers regardless of their religion and make a point of performing the correct funeral services for each one. So, comical event, she decides to perform a funeral ceremony for Miss Udaya Jebin's birth mother, a communist revolutionary who has died. She wants to know what is the correct rituals for the funeral of a communist. This enduring but misguided assumption that communism is a religion with specific rites for funeral services demonstrates the extent to which Anjum is not only accepting of people from all different backgrounds, but also respectful of those differences. So the overall vision Roy creates of India is thoroughly dystopic in the level of violence the powerful inflict on the powerless, the military occupation of Kashmir, the murders of Muslim and lower caste people at the hands of Hindu mobs all clearly implicate social division as the root of violence. By contrast, Jannat funeral services provides the only space of utopia. Through juxtaposing Jannat, which exists far on the margins of society with the violence and isolation that even the most privileged members of mainstream society experience, Roy clearly illuminates the values of social inclusivity rather than hierarchy. Then next is religion and power. Among these various struggles, one of the most salient is religion. Much of violence that the characters observe and experience in the novel stems from the conflict between Hindus and Muslims. The blending religion and government clearly allows for continued violence against religious minorities in the country. While Kashmiris are united in their desire for freedom, even this new generation of militants managed to make extremists their interpretation of Azadi. The Kashmiri word for freedom was, what does freedom mean? There is no God but Allah. So they want their religion to be imposed on the people. This interpretation of freedom clearly limits, in fact, the liberty of any citizens who live under the rule of these militants and sets the precedent for an intolerant Kashmir. Even if the militants were to win independence with an ideology like this, the citizens would likely to continue to experience at least some degrees of religious conflicts and violence. And these are some of the observations to so confidently believe oneself to be on the right side of history is risky. For a writer, especially in that Bellamy glow of self-regard, complacency can easily take the root. And good prose demands a measure of self-doubt. The worry that nags at a writer, that forces her to double back on her sentences, unravel and knit them up again, asking repeatedly, is this clear? Is this true? Is this enticing? Is this hook as a slackness to it that suggests? Roy has abdicated some of these anxieties. Then another by Nagendra and Mayura. The novel is a political novel which questions the socio-political situation in India. Keeping Anjum at the center of various narratives in the novel, Roy has emphasized with the sufferers of numerous incidents that happened in India, be it national emergency, Godhra Kand, cow lynching or Bhopal gas tragedy. Through this novel, Roy has also implicitly criticized the political atmosphere of India. Then we have the Ministry of Utmost Happiness is not a picturesque tale of sorrows, but a saga of small-time renegades of fate who emerge as a portrait each of a singular fortitude through the darkest hour. The true measure of a democracy is how it treats its most marginalized and vulnerable people. For some of us, it is the condition of powerless and marginalized, not the powerful, that best reflects the character of a country. It's all people on the margins who are able to observe a country most clearly from all angles rather than following the lead of how people at the center of the country, at the center of its norms, want to see themselves. Then we have ecofeminism. Devises women as having the capability to generate ecological change. It can be seen as asserting women by emphasizing their close association with nature. Roy, through her novel, was able to encourage and induce women to become the representative of change. She has penned all the events beautifully in her novel and proficiently highlights the uncertain relationships with women and nature in the present world. And this, last but not the least, the best one, the beginning of the novel, which also I find very interesting. At Magic Hour tells Roy as the beginning of fairy tale. However, the fantastic imagery of the Magic Hour takes a sharp turn with the introduction of flying foxes and crows, banyan trees and old graveyard. All images that are in contradiction to the initial fairy tale opening. There is a binary opposition between the magical charm of the opening lines and stark realities that follows. It must therefore be noted that this novel has no element of magic realism. In Waterstone's interview held on 5th June 2017, Roy emphatically asserts that the creatures and characters populate her novel are not magical. All the images that appear are neither magical nor metaphorical but true. And these are some of the interesting quotes. And it doesn't matter, I am all of them. I am Romeo and Julia, I am Leila and Majnu. And Majnu, why not? Who says my name is Anjum? I am not Anjum. I am Anjuman. I am Mahfil. I am a gathering of everybody and nobody, of everything and nothing. Is there anyone else you would like to invite? Everyone is invited. And this the most beautiful quote, which is written also in very different style in the novel. How to tell a shattered story. By slowly becoming everybody? No, by slowly becoming everything. And these are my citations.
Yes, questions? Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Okay, so Khushbu, my question is that what do you find so specific in this novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness?
The most specific thing that I found about this novel is that the novel is dedicated to the unconsoled. Uh, the voice, the people who are not able to speak, their voice is spoken by Arundhati Roy without any kind of fear that some political or power people might try to abuse her or to try to harass her. So she is a very brave writer, we can say. She has portrayed the sorrows and voices of Dalits, Muslims, untouchables, women, Kashmiris, Hijras, and such characters that are left out from the mainstream of the society. Roy has tried to give justice to these characters and through Anjum's guest house by accepting all these characters. So in this novel, author tries to give voice to the voiceless.
Khushbu, can you tell something about Hijra?
Yeah, I don't know why, but I selected the topic for Hijra for that dissertation also. I don't know why, but I had on 5th of Feb, I got a great opportunity to meet one Hijra, and I was so happy that I can't tell. I felt as if I have met some great personality. And the reason could be that I have selected my topic on the same subject. So, but the thing is that they can, what happened then that they can clap hands and they put an entry in any kind of functions or parties. They demand money. These things are continuing from the past. And if we want to change the scenario, then the way is through the education. We want our society to accept this kind of gender in all the aspects of life, like in school, colleges, and in jobs. Once they get civilized, then we may hope that they won't have to go to any parties for such demands. And it is not that individual efforts or one family does, but it is through the society overall. And so together we can bring a change in the society. Thank you.
Okay, so this was the final one, and a few comments that we can discuss here is like the quote which you said, no, finally, that this is written also in an interesting way. So now that is how either you have to write or put a photograph. You write it in a different way. So you are distorting that very idea what you want to say. Now it is possible. No? We can take a photo and we can put it. It is not impossible task. So that way you can think of this. Secondly, your citations are good. You refer to quite an interesting source, and in text also you have used, at least in last 3-4 slides, you have used them as an in text also. When there are two writers, you have to use write only the first writer's last name. First, not both. Mohsin and Taskin, you have written two, so not two writers, one, and that is why this is for everybody. That is why only first writers, main writers, last name is recorded alphabetically. That is the importance of first writer, who will go into the records alphabetically also. So that is why only one you have to write, not both. And then in the initial slides, when you made this comment about Indian military or Indian army officials, this needs to be cited also with some authentic source. Otherwise, whatever judgment is made in the novel or as a critical observation becomes faulty. And even in the novel, it is very few people who are corrupt. So it can't be generalized that Indian army is corrupt. You have to be very careful in selecting the word. So that makes, otherwise by looking at one corrupt personnel in the novel, we can't make a sweeping observation that everybody is corrupt. And it's just a matter of what kind of language you use. So you can say particularly so and so person is corrupt, instead of generalizing everything in that. So that is because when you make anything about political comment, then you have to be very selective. You have to base your argument also on some very good research. Also, many times such kinds of controversial things are not accepted by the governments, so they do not become authentic as such. So then you have to make a gap there, that this is how it is. Okay, so that is, and now see, if you look at your title and what we have discussed, you yourself, if you ask a question, then also perhaps you may say that it is not perhaps appropriate. You want to talk about narratives. And then you are talking about themes. Are you seeing that? You in the title you say narrative, and then in the table of content, very first thing is themes. So that also you have to again ask yourself that if I want to talk about themes, then why I don't make a title based on themes? Why I say narratives then? Narrative, then only narratives you have to bring in. Okay, but still citations and the things are given quite well. So that, and all the quotes that you put, you have to organize that how you use. Now, what you see is that here is a dot, here is a dot, there is a dot everywhere. Those dots are good enough, but how to connect and what trajectory to be made is still missing. And the trajectory which is necessary, that is to be also organized. So you have to select things properly in putting your presentation also. Okay, fine. So with this, we end our morning session, and we will have a break now before we go for the afternoon session.